Let's go to our panel now. Ahmed Benchemsi joins me from New York. He's Human Rights Watch's Advocacy and Communications Director for the Middle East and North Africa. In Riyadh, we have Saudi and Gulf Affairs expert Mohammed al Qubaiban. And with me in the studio is Ahmed Bedeir. He's the founder of the Justice for Jamal campaign. Gentlemen, I thank you very much for joining us. Mohammed al Qubaiban, let me begin with you, sir. After the G20, was the summit in Buenos Aires a success for your Crown Prince?
Good evening, sir, and thanks for having me again. Inshallah, it will be good. And as you saw, the visits for His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed was very important. And you knew the G20, it's basically, it talks about the economics issues. And I thought that the results, not yet been received the report and forward to the king, but overall, according to the media, the Saudi media went with the king, with His Royal Highness. There was lots of appreciation. There was lots of good news coming on. The main point that those type of let's say, of the meetings of meetings, we'd like it to continue for more stability in the whole world. And I thought that the prince had maybe 4 to 5 side meetings with some presidents. Otherwise, everything I thought within 2 days, it's not that enough, but what we received from the media overall seems to be a good meetings, and hopefully it will continue again.
Okay, before I bring in the other guests, let me ask you if you were surprised that the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, didn't receive much heat over the killing of Jamal Khashoggi.
Well, I didn't think so. This is the very, very important point. Now, sir, you knew there was more than 30 persons. Yes, 48 hours. But I didn't think so. The way we looked at it, it's concur with whatever you just mentioned. I thought the prince was there, welcomed by the president of the meetings, scheduled to meet some of the presidents. Maybe you're talking about the picture. The pictures, as you know, there is a protocol for the pictures, whoever going to be in the front and whoever be in the second lane and whoever going to be in the third lane. Now, don't tell me that during the dinner time or the lunch time they did not meet. I didn't think so, but nobody saw it. So maybe you took the opinion from the major shots or major picture.
Actually, I'm not doing that.
When they get together.
I'm saying it the other way around. I'm saying that it didn't seem as if anybody questioned him, took him on, isolated him or anything like that. Yes, we saw a little cell phone video with Emmanuel Macron, but it's inconclusive. We don't exactly know what they were talking about. I'm saying, aren't you surprised that nobody told him, hey, we need answers with regards Jamal Khashoggi, that nobody took him to task?
Of course, yeah. There is no sense of asking such a thing like this. The Saudi government stands already show what they have, already admit the crime, already committed, let's say, a group to work with the Turkey government. And I think that the Saudi government did the best that they can do. Most, let's say, the official stance of the other governments, they recognized the Saudi stance and they took it as is.
And that's
whatever happening in the media.
Okay, that's important. Okay, and it's good to hear that from you. Let me bring in Human Rights Watch, Ahmed Benchemsi. You guys wanted the Argentinians to possibly arrest him. They didn't do that. And he seems to have gone for the summit, had his good meetings, spoken about the economy, spoken about Vision 2030, and he got on a plane and left. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's not that simple. I wouldn't say that our objective was that the Argentinians arrest him. I mean, that's a pretty, simplified way to put it. Our main objective is that justice is served, and justice is a process. So what we did is file a motion with the Argentinian judiciary So they open an investigation on his possible implication in grave international crimes, including possible war crimes in Yemen and torture of Saudi citizens within Saudi Arabia, and also the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. What we did is send the information that we had to the Argentinian judiciary so they look into his role in this, and they responded to our call. The judicial authorities took steps towards investigating his connection with those alleged war crimes. And I mean, I don't think that he spent such a good week with that threat looming over his head. And most of all, the suspicions over his role within that collective of heads of state. So if our real objective is that the world starts to pay attention that very grave and severe crimes are happening under the possible direct responsibility of the Crown Prince, and this is happening right now. The world is paying attention.
Okay, let me bring in the other Ahmed Bedeir. Are you satisfied by Mohammed al Qubaiban's claim that the Saudi government has done all it can and they're prosecuting those involved in the killing of Khashoggi, no more, no less?
That might sound well in Riyadh, but for the rest of the world, it's not. They're not satisfied. The world is not satisfied. And the way that Mohammed bin Salman was received and treated at the G20 summit, I have to differ with you. He was in some ways treated like a pariah. He wasn't celebrated. This wasn't as it was before Jamal Khashoggi. There's a huge difference. And on the same day that they were meeting in Buenos Aires, there were reports that came out in the Wall Street Journal that came close to some sort of smoking gun of all these text messages that Mohammed bin Salman himself was sending to his top advisor that was overseeing, Saud al-Qahtani, overseeing the murder of Khashoggi.
But if he was really treated as a pariah, don't you think the Saudis would have freaked out? I mean, okay, we're stringing together a bunch of things. Macron telling him, you never listened to me.
He was being reprimanded.
Yeah, but okay, so that's from that one video. We have the UK and the French and the Canadians come up and say, yes, we want a full investigation. But beyond that,
I mean, the forum itself didn't allow for that.
Did anybody really say, listen, you're responsible?
The way he was treated, he was isolated. The only one that really embraced him is Putin. The others didn't want to be seen with him at all, or in one-on-one meetings, there aren't those images that they want to celebrate being seen with Mohammed bin Salman. He was treated like a pariah. In fact, the fact that he didn't spend his time in Buenos Aires touring places, he was stuck inside the residence, afraid that he may get arrested. He was stuck, using the immunity of the sovereignty of the embassy or the residence, the official residence of the ambassador. Those are the only places. He didn't stay at a hotel as his custom to go out and rent out the entire Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons hotels. No, he stayed within the residence for protection, fearing arrest, fearing that the prosecutors in Argentina may make a move. And that's kind of the cloud of doubt and fear that hangs over Mohammed bin Salman. And I think in Riyadh, they may not necessarily be saying in the media, but they're starting to realize that Mohammed bin Salman is becoming a liability and he's not going to be able to be effective to push the agenda of Saudi Arabia, forward. And this issue is not going away. And the fact that President Erdogan did not let it go. He used almost half of his press conference to continue to push this issue on the world's one of the biggest stages, world stages over the weekend. Right.
Mohammed al Qubaiban, let's bring in the Saudi.
Yes, sir. I'm coming to it. Just I wanna answer back, or just as interact with Mr. Ahmed. Ahmed, I mean, what you were trying to explain a while ago is almost your feeling toward the meetings. And this is not the way, I think, sir, to critique the meetings, or if you want to evaluate the Mohammed bin Salman stance. Now, everybody knew that the Saudi Arabia let me take it this way. Saudi Arabia is very important to the whole world. Now, whatever you're saying, reports, and you're saying that he did not stay in the hotel where he's supposed to stay, or you were talking about there is a messages between him and Qahtani, or whatever things you were trying to say that he's isolated from the presidents, that the way you look at it. Let's take it different, sir. Let's look at the government's stance, how they said it. Imran, he just maybe answer you back that he met Theresa May, he sat with the French president, and he met some other president, even Chinese, and the Argentinian. So look at it as an overall. Now, if we follow up the media really, it will take us to 1,000 different ways. But let's take the official stance from the governments. That's how I looked at it. Yes,
but again,
there is still more information.
Certainly.
Just one last point, sir, regarding the crime itself. Yes, there is more information coming in.
Right.
The Saudis are doing their best with the Turkish government to solve these issues.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Just a point of housekeeping from my perspective. When you say that, and I've had to say this on the show before, when you say that we should take the official Saudi government's position as the definitive word, if we did that with the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, we would have gone nowhere. We would have had no idea where he was. We would have had to believe them at the first instance when they said, hey, he went to the embassy and we don't know what happened to him afterwards. If it wasn't for pressure from the Turkish government, we would not have known. Putting that aside, let me come back to Ahmed Benchemsi. Do you think that we are now at a point, as we get to the end of 2018, where there's intense scrutiny on Saudi Arabia as a country vis-a-vis its human rights situation at home, as a country at war in Yemen, and as an ally of these Western countries that claim to only support countries that push for democratic values and so on and so forth? Is that where we are now, Ahmed Benchemsi?
Yes, exactly. This is where we are now, and I think that scrutiny will only increase. The murder of Jamal Khashoggi at least allowed the world to open their eyes on what's going on in Saudi Arabia, and under the responsibility of Saudi Arabia and of the Crown Prince specifically as Minister of Defense and as the chief commander of the Saudi army in Yemen. I mean, we have been ringing the bell for years now, since the Yemen war started, saying that the coalition and the direction of Saudi Arabia is committing grave violations of the laws of war, some of which are amount to war crimes, are attacking civilians, attacking schools, attacking markets, weddings, funerals, that there are civilians dead by the thousands, and without any conclusive investigation. We have been also ringing the bell on domestic abuse within Saudi Arabia. Very recently, we reported the case of several women's rights activists who have been tortured in detention centers in Saudi Arabia. All those things are not new. They have been happening in the past month, in the past years. Now, what changed after the murder of Mr. Khashoggi is that the world is paying attention, and is that wherever the Crown Prince goes now in the world, well, he might need serious legal advice, because what happened in Argentina might happen elsewhere because of the principle of universal jurisdiction. You know, thankfully, this principle exists, and no one now is totally immune of the long reach of the law.
Despite all of that, Ahmed Bedeir, at the end of the day, politics is politics. Saudi Arabia is a counterfoil to Iran in the region for the United States and many Sunni Arab countries, as they call them. And also there's a lot of money involved in weapons sales and just general business, oil. Ultimately, it's not worth anyone's trouble to cut ties with the Saudis. That's the reality, isn't it, Ahmed?
I think even President Erdogan himself is saying they don't need to cut ties with the Saudis. Saudi Arabia continues to be an important country, and it's too important to put it in the hands of someone like Mohammed bin Salman, who doesn't have the experience, who's very volatile and increasing instability, who has in a way hijacked the government of Saudi Arabia. Yes, it's a monarchy, yet he has now consolidated the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of the Interior, the Foreign Affairs. All of these are now within his power, and he's misusing it. And it was basically the straw that broke the camel's back. There are hundreds, if not thousands of other Jamal Khashoggis within Saudi Arabia that are suffering, that are facing torture, imprisonment, including women who are being raped. So there are many allegations that the people in the West, leaders in the West, are uncomfortable continuing. They want to preserve the relationship with Saudi Arabia, but they think Mohammed bin Salman is the wrong person. And I think people within Saudi Arabia are starting to realize that same issue.
On that theme, Mohammed al Qubaiban, I have deep respect for you, sir. You always, you come onto the show, you're not afraid of tough questions, and I appreciate that. Let me ask you directly, sir, if you wanted to criticize Mohammed bin Salman from that studio in Riyadh on this show, would you be able to, or would you fear the consequences?
Sir, we have lots of channels to pass your opinion to the governments. First of all, as an Islamic way. Second, as the Saudis societies, we have a chance to meet the king if you have any problem, that you can go and speak up. You can go to His Royal Highness Palace. There is some certain days, and you can speak up. To criticize people just for criticize, I didn't think so. This is good for the country itself. I didn't think so. This is good for the community.
If you had to tweet
itself.
out and say that Mohammed bin Salman is not doing a good job, would that be the last we heard of you?
What is the point? What is the point?
If you believe he's not doing a good job,
I mean,
no,
sir. Just even though this is a small point, but
Ahmed.
No, just Ahmed. Let me, Ahmed. Please, you throw lots of points. I wish that I can answer you back. But Imran, he's trying to ask, will I criticize the king, or will I criticize the crown prince, or will I criticize the government? Of course, I can criticize in case of there is something we see it's important for the national security. We see it's important for our relationship, or it's important for our ethics. We could do this, and trust me, sir, I've been in the King Palace. We talked about some problems, and he was listening, and he always say this: if you have any problems, I will be ready to solve the problems. And there is 100 of stories. It happens.
The king may be more. The king
there is a
may
discipline.
Be more open-minded.
There is a discipline. That's my point.
Salman al-Auda.
You throw.
Mohammed. Salman al-Auda tweeted one tweet and basically said, you know, I wish, he made like some sort of like prayer. I wish that the brothers in the Gulf region would come together, meaning referring to the problem with Qatar. And for that, he was arrested right afterward. He wasn't even criticizing the crown prince. There are people that are being arrested and put away for...
You're looking at it as a different way. Salman al-Auda, my opinion myself, I think this man need to re-look at his let's say mechanism, his way of trying to pass the information.
He was seeking to bring people together. He was seeking, he wasn't even criticizing.
No. There is a history. There is a history.
Okay, so let me put al-Auda
we have a wise government.
Okay, let me put him aside. And Mohammed, you've given it a good shot answering the question. Ahmed Benchemsi, 20 seconds, please, because I know you want to jump in. We're out of time. 20 seconds. Final word to you, Ahmed Benchemsi.
What about all the dissidents that are in jail right now? What about Raif Badawi? What about Samar Badawi? What about Abu Khair? What about all the brave women who pushed for women's driving, who are now in jail after the right before the driving was allowed? I mean, there is absolutely no space remaining for dissidents in Saudi Arabia now. The situation is really serious, and the world should pay attention.
Ahmed Benchemsi, Mohammed al Qubaiban, and Ahmed Bedeir, I sincerely thank you all for joining us on the Newsmakers. Thanks again.